we are talking all things consistency. Let's start off with like where a lot of people go wrong.
Have you always struggled with consistency?
The way I think about consistency is like intuitive eating. I've actually changed my opinion on that. I've definitely struggled with that in the past year. Hello and welcome back to the Dream Girls Locker Room podcast, hosted by me, Sydney Casti, or some of you may know me as Sig Rose, alongside my sister and co-host Ellis Cassidy. How are you, Ellis?
I'm good.
How are you actually? That was so you asked people that question, like, how are you doing? And they're like, they look at you through like their teeth. Was it through gritted teeth? Like,
yeah,
I'm great. I'm doing great.
I don't know. I'm scared.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much we're actually going to end up leaving in, but there was a little bit of a ladybird saga
in the gym
week.
Anxiety episode. Yeah.
Yeah. I really felt like I was kind of in, I don't know, the jungle or something. Are ladybirds found in the jungle? No, probably not. Maybe I was found like down my, I don't know. Anyway, we've been a little bit on edge ever since.
Just a little bit stressed.
We've been a little bit scared to come back in. But I am pleased to say there are no more ladybirds.
No.
And you know what? I am taking it for
good luck.
Yeah. I'm seeing the positives. Many people, when I put it on my story, message me saying that it's a sign of good luck, true love, a heap of other things. So, I'm going to take it as that.
What are we covering today?
Okay, girl. We're driving.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, well, thanks. So nice of you to ask, actually. I'm okay. I'm a little bit stressed.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a stomach, like, ache.
I feel like we either have chill days or it's just like non-stop.
Yeah. I always find, I live in Manchester now, which, if you don't know, is in like the north of England. Don't know what that accent was. And so whenever I go down to London for work or to see family or whatever, although usually it is unfortunately for work a lot of the time, it's always a rush. So it makes me feel a little bit like stressed. I think, being a dog mom as well, I always have Goose in tow. So everything's just a lot harder. I have so much respect for mums. I'm like, I understand now. And lol, me having a dog and being like, yeah, I understand the struggle. But I understand the struggle because I feel like you can't
like
get out of
caring
the house
for another thing.
Well, yeah, just getting out of the house must be like so hard with children. Gosh. Anyway, yeah. So today's episode, we are talking all things consistency, which I feel like the sort of logic behind doing it now is that by this point we're like well into the year.
Yeah.
We all had goals in January.
We all tried.
Some of us may have stuck to them, but I reckon a lot of people probably haven't. And that's just normal. So we're going to do a consistency episode and we are going to cover why people struggle with it, tips and tricks we've got to get you back on your grind, on your goals, and anything else?
Shall I say what consistency is?
Yeah. Okay, let's start there.
Okay, this is kind of an explanation. Consistency rather than perfection is key to making habits stick, which is essential for long-term health and fitness. The quick fix mentality often leads to burnout and depression when unrealistic standards are not met, emphasizing the value of small, sustainable changes over time. Did that make sense?
I know to the average person and hopefully to the listeners I did, but like honestly my dyslexia is just like screaming right now.
That's more of a like what consistency causes, I guess.
Yeah. Did you have any New Year's resolutions? Any goals?
Actually, no. I'm gonna be
Ellis really said I'm not even gonna like trip at the first hurdle because I'm not even gonna set the hurdle up.
Okay, let me think. Whilst I think, did you have any?
Yeah. And whilst I think, okay, let me just think. What were mine? Ellis is like literally like sat away. She's just like in her little, she's got her eyes closed and she's just tapping her head.
I just feel like I don't know.
I mean, I think for me, a goal for the year was really to get back on my consistency grind, actually.
Wow, this is kind of ideal.
It's kind of relevant. I'll give you that one. No, so I actually like have I discussed this so far too much about just like my struggles with consistency?
So. No?
Well, if there's ever a time to do it, I would say it's in the consistency episode. So yeah, I've been struggling with consistency this past year, which is somewhat ironic considering my job is to be a gym girl. So I really empathize with people that also have like a whole 9 to 5 and a whole nother life. And then maybe you're a caregiver. You know, it feels like the list is endless before you can actually get round to doing what you need to do. And I guess I probably just experienced that. And when I got into fitness, although I wasn't mentally in the great place, one thing I will take that was excellent about that was I wasn't really doing anything else. So I had so much time and space to dedicate to training and getting to the gym. It was like the thing I looked forward to in the day. Now my life is very different, and in ways, you know, sometimes I catch myself being really hard on myself and tough on myself, like, you've not been consistent. Some weeks I might not even train like 3 times a week, which for me has always been like a base minimum. And it's like, girl, I realize, I check myself in that moment. I'm like, you've got so much going on. And now gym, as much as I don't like it this way, it isn't a priority for me. Well, it is. It's a priority, but unfortunately, there's just some things that are like mandatory slot in tasks, right? So I'm just reaching adulthood. And
honestly, and also I feel like you did, like, at the start of like this job, you weren't as busy. Like, your job was to film at a gym and like work out, whereas your job's changed a lot.
Yeah,
especially
so
in the past like 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah. So for me, what sort of my lack of consistency looks like now is, well, actually, I'm pleased to say I've come full circle and I'm actually back on my grind. But for me, like, consistency, what it was looking like when I was struggling with it was just like not being able to get to the gym and not prioritizing it, but also not really changing my behavior to allow me to be able to go.
I do actually remember my resolution as well.
Go on.
But it's not related at all.
Yeah.
At all. Just to save money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was my thing.
And how have you done?
I've actually done very well.
And have you been consistent?
I'd say I have been very consistent
with doing so.
And I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Consistency. It's a hard thing. But yeah, we're here to talk about it and we're here to break it down and come, right back round, get back on the grind with whatever our goals were, because we know how it goes.
Should we start by why people do struggle with consistency?
Wasn't there a fact?
Oh, you wanted to do that before?
There's a really relevant fact.
A study by Strava based on over 800 million user logged activities pinpointed January 19th, aka Quitters Day, as the day most people are likely to give up on their New Year's resolutions. Wow.
19th.
The 19th of January. Yeah, because I guess you're like 3 weeks in, nearly. And also, January's a horrible time for weather and people struggle a lot. That must be hard.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably just like by that point, yeah, you're starting to face like challenges with whatever it is. It's kind of getting a bit like tedious. You're just like, may as well swipe off.
Yeah.
And you're like, fair. I mean, I get it.
38% of people make New Year's resolutions each year, but only 9% of people stick to them all year long. I can believe that.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
but only 38% of people actually make New Year's resolutions.
Well, I think a lot of people kind of give up, don't they? They're just like, oh, for goodness sakes.
I feel like it's kind of a known thing that people will not do their resolutions.
Yeah, actively avoid.
Yeah.
I think also another thing is that I'm sure I've had a thing before about how like people set all of these goals because they almost get like a dopamine hit from setting the goals.
Yeah, so true. It's like vision boarding.
So you're like, oh my God, I'm going to do all this. But then you don't, the actioning it is the tough part. And that's the part where we like struggle to kind of fulfill those goals and ambitions.
I'd be interested to know, like, have you always struggled with consistency? Like from a gym perspective and also just like anything?
Yeah. So when I started out, I really set myself, I try to be really realistic and really gentle with myself. And I think I was probably doing that because I wanted it to be a sustainable action that I was taking in starting gym. And so I knew that, like, knowing how I am, if I started something and I just went all guns blazing, especially as I hadn't really had much experience in the gym or hadn't, trained in or exercised in years, I just thought, I'm not going to do that because I just know it's not going to end well. And so I think I had set myself a task of like go 3 days a week. And so, yeah, I just kind of kept to that. And to begin with, it was actually really quite tough. Like I enjoyed gym, but getting myself there.
Yeah.
That was not.
That is the hardest part.
Wasn't pleasant, I would say. Yeah. It gets to a point where you are so used to it and it does become like such a sort of ingrained part of your week that if you're lucky, you're not going to have to sort of feel like you're sort of dragging yourself to go, in ways, or that it doesn't feel hard. You don't feel like there's some sort of like resistance. But it does come back round. I've definitely struggled with that in the past year, but luckily I've pulled myself out of it. So it's not something that is always, it's ever changing. It's kind of very much circumstantial. And so I think that's what we want to dive into. I do feel like the way I think about consistency is like you get consistency from discipline, I personally think. And I also think by setting yourself up to win, like, let's start off with like where a lot of people go wrong, because before we discuss actioning things to be more consistent and that sort of thing, I think it's really important to identify like where people do go wrong. Because once you actually become aware of it and you kind of take note, it becomes really obvious where you keep tripping up, and then suddenly, everything sort of makes sense. You kind of understand why you're not being consistent in other areas of your life. So yeah, I think we should dive into that. So we've got a little list for you that we've composed of things that we think are places where people will trip up. So do you want to reel them off and then we can go through them? It's
also interesting to see like a lot of these go hand in hand with like dealing with gym anxiety. Like a lot of the things that I will list right now is what we discussed in the gym anxiety episode.
Yeah.
So why people struggle. Not having a detailed plan or specific goal, not prioritizing their goals.
Well, should we go through each one?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So like instantly when I hear the thing about like the not detailed plan enough, like not detailed plan enough, not having a detailed enough plan is like actually something that really resonates with me and why I've not been feeling consistent in this past, like, honestly, year or so. Part of the reason, I mean, for me, there's many factors, but part of the reason was that I Wait, what was the point? I literally forgot it.
Not having a detailed plan.
Oh, sorry. Part of the reason was that like I would go in, and I know that if anyone's listening who ever like trains at my gym, they'll just know this they'll know exactly what I'm referring to when I say, people would say to me, "Oh, what are you training today, Sid?" Normally you just answer, "Nah, legs." Or I'm doing a bit back. And I've never been someone that answers a question quickly. I always seem to go around the houses. But I literally was like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really on it with my training. And I just I hadn't set myself a clear task. And so everything that I was doing at the gym just felt like it had no purpose. And so go into whatever you're doing with purpose, go in with like meaning and intention and have something to work towards. Planners are so helpful. Go in with like a planner and have write what you're doing, track what you're doing and plot out some goals. What do you want to achieve? I think that was really kind of stunted where I was going in that year because I wasn't really working towards anything. I'd just literally turn up and I'd be like, especially
with plans where they have like week 1, week 2, week 3. I feel like that would be really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So our next one is
not prioritizing goals. Oh, that kind of ties into that.
Exactly.
Period.
Next one is lack of accountability. Now, this kind of will depend on who you are as a person. Either you like to train alone or you like to train with friends, or maybe you have a coach. But all of these things are basically like who's going to hold you accountable, I think a lot of people really benefit from training with people for that reason, having a training buddy, having someone that they can go with. I've been doing that. And it is really, really helpful. I think I hadn't realised quite how much I leaned on my gym friends back in London because I never formally like asked them to go and train, and I never really made that association in my head that like they were helping me with my own accountability of like getting to the gym and training. I didn't really realise until I don't have them now, and suddenly it's like, no one's going to notice if I don't go to the gym. I mean, I'll notice, but you know, there's not going to be anyone going, where's Sid? And so I've been training recently with my boyfriend. We've been going to the CrossFit gyms. So not only does he expect to be training, but also the coaches there. It's a really new experience for me. The coaches there have been like, oh, where have you been? And
really?
Yeah, they've been saying, where have you been? If he goes to one night we were working late and I couldn't go, much to my, disappointment, I couldn't go. But the next time I went in, the coach was like, oh, where were you, Sid? And it like really helps. It gives you a kick up the backside. Like it really does. So if you are struggling with that and you do train alone, definitely consider finding a coach. Definitely consider going with a friend. I think friends are a bit of a complicated one because some can be so amazing and so helpful. Like if it's a flatmate or something like that, or you're both really passionate and you've got the same goals and you've got schedules that align, perfect. But if you've got a flaky friend or you've got like a friend that isn't so committed, or maybe, I don't know, if you're feeling a little bit of weakness and then your friend is like, oh, should we just not go today?
So true.
You'll lean on that. I actually saw a TikTok the other day about like what training at 5 a.m.'s like. And then it was like 5 or 6 a.m. And then it was like what the actual reality's like. And it was all these screenshots of like the friend being like, hi, are you awake? And then the other friend being like, oh, yeah, I am. Are you staying awake? And the other friend was like, no, I'm going to go to bed. And then, you know what I mean? And it's like, so that is where it's hard. But say you find a gym friend That would be like so ideal. You find a gym friend that you know is going and you guys keep seeing each other and then you make it a thing. Like, yeah, I think definitely having some sort of accountability is really, really helpful and really underrated, actually.
Well, a lot of people on the Facebook group, they're like, oh, looking for an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, or like on the friendship applications,
so true.
People are like, oh, is anyone in my area?
Yeah.
So we can go together.
So on the Gym Girls Locker Room Facebook community, which if you aren't a part of, what are you doing? You need to get on there. It's the most beautiful hole. It's where it all started. But that Facebook page, we do see that, don't we?
All the time.
And I remember people saying stuff to me before. I've seen comments where people have said like, oh, you know, I've made an online internet friend and we just clock in with each other when they've been to the gym. So be like, oh, just went and did this, you know. It doesn't have to, that sort of online community extends so far beyond just being like an influencer or a creator. There's a lot of people out there that actually want to connect. I mean, I think that's so freaking cute, having like an online pen pal gym friend.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that so much. So yeah, if you are feeling like you need some accountability, definitely check us out over on Facebook, Gym Girls Locker Room. Because I think, yeah, it'll definitely help some people out. Links are always put in the show notes if anyone needs any direction there. Okay, next one.
Track progress. And I guess you could track that through multiple different ways. Pictures or like writing down. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like I can understand would be a little bit of a sensitive one for some people, because it does lean into more kind of like physical attributes. But yeah.
Did you track progress? Yeah, with videos.
Well, yeah, I did, because I was videoing. However, I wish I would have. I always say to people, take the damn progress photos, because it's really amazing. You know, consistency, I think, with fitness starts to come where you start seeing results. That little like grace period is really tough. If we were looking at like that fact we heard earlier about people saying about falling off.
Yeah.
I could understand that if that was gym related, there's some sort of correlation between people expecting to see results, not seeing results, and then being like, okay, give up. Because when you see results, it gives you such a drive. You know you're doing the right thing. You're like, okay, I want some more of this, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like definitely tracking. And I also think like tracking as well, in the sense of like, if you do have fat loss goals, if you do have like muscle mass goals, like if you do want to build muscle, like it's really important to track that as well in terms of like your intake. I have always been like an advocate of intuitive eating. However, I've actually changed my opinion on that. Do you know what intuitive eating is?
When you just eat when you're hungry?
Yeah, just like being a little bit more, I mean, yeah, the word intuitive. So
I've
like
never understood
being
that.
in more like more in touch with like your body and your needs. So if your body's telling you're hungry, you eat. And if your body's telling you're full, you really try to tune into that. Like, I mean, obviously that's a way more complicated subject. We can totally cover that on another day. But like, I just used to always think that was healthiest for me personally. But it's interesting because whenever I go through periods of like wanting to lose some fat, wanting to like shred up a little bit, or wanting to gain a little bit, gaining is for me personally a bit easier, but certainly for losing fat, that's where actually you're gonna see better results if you track your calories, track your protein intake, like those sorts of things. Sometimes you'll have a slower progress, you'll struggle with consistency. So definitely consider it. There's apps out there, MyFitnessPal, a lot of coaches, they have calorie trackers with them, and even trackers for like how much weight you're doing, that sort of thing, and lifting. and you can take photos, but give yourself something to measure and to go off. Don't just wing your way through it, you know?
Last one. I don't know how to say this.
I believe in you.
Extrinsic motivation. If you are doing it for someone else, you will likely fall off when things get difficult.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So what I meant by this is like, I think this goes back to like what I was saying in the first episode of having this like deeper reason and this deeper connection. That's why like I don't really force like fitness and health and all that onto people, because it's like have a driving force that you really, really connect with. I've spoken with people that have really struggled to like show up with the gym and that sort of thing. And I've heard them say that they've always tried to go for aesthetic reasons, and they've only just sort of connected with the gym and made sort of a real consistent effort when they actually took the emphasis off of their aesthetics and found a deeper reason. And that's not to say that that aesthetics can't be a part of that journey for you, but I think it's just worth knowing that when there's something a little bit deeper than that surface level, you're a lot more likely to be consistent. That's just like my own experience and sort of what I've heard people say along the way. I want to cover now, after kind of going through why we struggle and identifying these points where we might trip up and fall, I really want to cover tips and things that really help because they're things you might not have thought about that really, really help make this process a lot easier and really like second nature for you. At the first and forefront is to do something you enjoy. Don't let it be a chore. Like, please don't let it be a chore.
Don't force yourself to go on that 5K.
If you don't want to do it, exactly. If you don't want to do it to a point where like it's actually really, really unpleasant, and I'm not talking about like, there's a difference, like not wanting to go to the gym just because you're like, oh, it's kind of comfy on my bed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if it's really like just you're not vibing with it. Let me give you an example. I've been loving powerlifting since I started. Strength training, lifting as much as I can. I haven't been training consistently this past year, as we've already discussed. And I wasn't enjoying, when I was struggling with my consistency, I wasn't enjoying powerlifting. That wasn't I'm not going to the gym because I kind of can't be bothered to train. That was like, I'm really actually not finding it pleasant to do what I want to do. And there's other things I could be doing that I would enjoy. And so I just really want you guys to like take note of what you're doing. And if you are new on your journey, or if you've been doing it for a while, just really think like, am I actually finding this fun, you know? Because there's so much beauty in using exercise as kind of like a form of play as an adult. I think like attitudes towards exercise have really changed now, and it does feel like everyone's kind of, along with like the rise of like social media and like people making content and that sort of stuff, it does seem like a lot of people have that sort of same opinion. But it definitely, and I'm glad, because like it seems like we are moving away from that sort of mentality of like, oh, I've got to go to the gym after work because like I need to work off this like fat, like you know. I think it's changed a lot. Another thing that I want to cover that I don't think we've already spoken about is how important I think visualization is, especially like if you're trying to work towards becoming a better version of yourself. So this isn't just about gym, but if you're really struggling to be consistent with like a goal, is like to visualize like what that person would do that was achieving that goal on a regular basis, and like embody that. that's something that really, really helped me when I was struggling with consistency in the gym and with my goals that I have now that I'm working on, like being consistent. And I really want to get into like Olympic weightlifting. And I've been doing CrossFit and I'm really enjoying that. It's like, what would someone like that? I do have aesthetic goals as well. Like, what would someone who's got that body, what would they do? So they would eat well and they would eat like certain things. They would train a certain amount of time and use that as like a motivation. Basically, just like embody and be that girl. I guess the final tip, which really helped me, is a lovely little thing I like to call retail therapy. When I started, I set myself goals and I rewarded myself with those goals as if I was like a little dog. Okay, I don't know where I was going with that, but I was thinking like dog reward therapy, you know, like encourage good behavior. So for me, you know, in 2021, when I was trying to like get really consistent with even just showing up to the gym, I told myself if I went 3 times a week for a month, that I would buy myself a gym set.
Mm.
Actually, this is a really cute little story I want to tell you.
It's really cute.
That set that I bought was like my first ever Gymshark set, which Gymshark is expensive in my personal opinion, but it's really high quality. And it was an investment for me. At the time, I didn't have much money at all. And I really didn't have much disposable income. But I remember saying like, if I can do this and I can achieve my goal that I've set myself to be more consistent, then I'm going to reward myself. And I bought myself a yellow camo tank and a yellow camo pair of shorts. And then I got myself the green so I wanted to get the top, I couldn't afford it. So I got myself the green, I don't know what the model's called. Adapt shorts, and I've still got them and I still wear them, and you'll see them cropping up in my videos because whenever I feel like I just need like a little bit of like oomph, I'm just, you know, like belief or like encouraging myself, I like to wear that. So if there's like a big event or something, I usually wear, I don't know, bring them with me. But yeah, so like reward yourself for freaking achieving your goals, you know, and it's something nice to work towards, like treat yourself. So I feel like that's pretty much it. That's like a nice little roundabout of like, I don't know, consistency. I think the main takeaway is to just like set yourself like little like tasks and measurable things that will help you keep track of your goals, know where you're at with things, know what you're trying to achieve, and then implement some things that are actually going to help you do so. But I guess I want to leave you with like the fact that like comparison is the thief of joy. So just with whatever you do, just really try to not compare yourself in a sort of hurtful way. You're just trying, you know, show up for yourself, focus on your own journey, and it will come, you know. Every step forward is a step in the right direction. Doesn't matter how big the step is.
I think also like just like don't be hard on yourself. If you say you do fall off for a little bit, be kind to yourself, I guess.
Yeah, and get back on it. Like I feel we all so much have, we so easily have that sort of all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
You feel like, oh, just because you've like skipped a few sessions or you've had a few cheat meals or whatever, that you've fallen right off like track and that it's almost like not even worth it, or that the whole, you know, say you've had an indulgent meal, that the whole weekend needs to be a blowout. And then that's when you kind of, things like accelerate. And I've so been there, and I so know, and that's still something I very much deal with. I'm sure we all do. But I think just being more aware of what you're doing and moving with intention is really, really helpful on this journey of being more consistent.
Even if, say, you have had months off, it's okay. Just start again.
Yeah.
Like,
also just touching on like the whole comparison thing, like it feels like we're sort of overwhelmed with information and overwhelmed with, you know, all of these things and that people are doing and achieving and da 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 da, but just kind of realizing that everyone experiences highs and lows, ups and downs, and that just because you've seen it on social media doesn't mean that's someone's reality, you know. Okay, we have got, should we listen to a little locker room confession?
Yeah, can do.
Thank you for your submissions, guys. If you don't know, this is our segment we've got called Locker Room Confessions. It's where you submit into our Instagram at Gym Girls Locker Room any funny, silly, embarrassing gym stories. It could be anything, really.
I haven't listened to any of them.
Let's just go. We're going a blind reaction.
There was one time in my early gym days where I was chest pressing like 25 pounds on a chest press machine. And this lady must have seen me struggling. Without saying anything, she came up, switched out my 25-pound plates for 10s. And then I was speechless and shocked. I said, thank you. She walked away. And I've never lived it down.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that's not okay. Can people not? Like, can people actually not?
Like, what?
I wonder
was
if
the reason?
I wonder if she was struggling with she was struggling with the weight, like exerting herself, right? Is that what she was saying?
Yeah, but like, why would someone interfere?
Yeah. The audacity.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. I would have been like, excuse me, miss. I'm absolutely fine, thank you.
I think I literally would have been like, well, how we just reacted. I'd be flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I'd actually be like, what?
I'd be perplexed.
100%.
So strange. Yeah, weird. I would love to know what she did after.
Yeah.
Put the weight back on, rep it out. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I think that's all for today. Do us a favour. Please, if you are listening on Apple or watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Give us a follow on Spotify. It just pushes our channel out further to everyone else. It gets people listening to the pod, and we'll love you forever. Sending you one big kiss. But yeah. Also, don't forget to give us a review if you are listening. And I guess between now and next week, we'll see you over at Gym Girls Locker Room on Facebook and Instagram. Anything else to add, Ellis?
I hope this episode helped.
Yeah.
And maybe even, if you're on YouTube, comment what helps you.
Abso-freaking-lutely. All right then, girls. See you later. Bye. And then...
For God's sake.
Every time I look at you, I laugh.
So leave.
I'll try once more. When I've spoken to people...
For God's sake, Sid.
When I've spoken to people that... I know a lot of people have said that...
I'm so sorry.
No, don't.
I really tried.
Oh, literally, I'm tearing up.
Should we stare at each other's eyes for a minute? So then it will go away.
Well, that's going to be a good podcast, isn't it, Ellis? So I know from people...
Like, what are we even talking about? I, don't know. Wait, what?
I think
You think you just wet yourself? Oh, no.
Help! Literally.
Oh, my God. This is insane.
What do I do? I'm crying.
Are you okay?
Am I crying? I don't know.
Wait, what's going on right now? I'm really trying to read the room. I'm just gonna turn on my phone for a bit.
Oh no. I can't stop.
How are we supposed to live, laugh, love, and